Live from Studio B in the Annenberg School here at USC. This is the Talk of Troy, where we obviously talk a big game and have even bigger opinions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, Grayson, just make sure you hear this, especially you, Grayson. The Los Angeles Dodgers have won, yet again, the World Series in an amazing fashion. Holy smokes, nothing else could be said about this.
Man, baseball is so romantic.
No, what the heck?
You got a biased editor in the
Yeah, clearly. I mean, the man controls the sounds. What are you going to do?
Yeah, soundboard.
Logan, you're our baseball guru here at Talk of Troy. As someone that's played the sport, seen the sport since they were young, tell me, what were your thoughts about this specific World Series?
So, I'll say this. Watching this World Series, as just an unbiased fan, right? Because obviously I support my Mets, but this was an incredible series. And I think this is why I love baseball in particular, is because you have no idea how anything is going to go. There are plays that are being made that I had never seen before, right? Vladdy for one, picking up a scoop, firing it to third over 95 miles an hour, getting it out. Tommy Edman backing up first base, making a very similar play just in that same game. That was in the 18-inning game, right? And as if that wasn't enough, we got spoiled with an 18-inning game in Game 3, the longest World Series game of all time, just to go back to extra innings in Game 7. I mean, this truly was the two best teams in baseball squaring off in a juggernaut, in a battle between, monster and just a team confided by friendship. It was kind of like the way that I saw it. And it was a series to remember. And honestly, I've been consistently watching World Series just as a baseball fan. My family grew up Cardinal fans. I was a Mets fan. So I had the luxury of Cardinals playing the World Series a couple times in the early 2010s. My Mets made the World Series in 2015. So I always watch it. I always enjoy it. And this was without a doubt, I think, the best World Series I've ever watched. And if it comes close second to something, the only other game that I think was phenomenal was the 2011 Game 6 World Series between the Rangers and Cardinals, where David Freese just went nuclear. But in terms of a full-on series, no, this was absolute cinema, as the way that I would best describe it.
Jonathan, what do you got to say?
No, I mean, he really covered it. I mean, this was one of the greatest series of all time. I mean, you had insane plays. That Game 7 was one that just it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, the plays you would see and the intelligence from the Dodgers and some of those plays, right? Like we had, and I'm blanking on his name. Was it Ed? No, not Edmund.
Miggy Rojas.
No, Dean.
Justin
Dean with
Dean.
the
Game 6.
Yeah, that Game 6 IQ play, which pretty much saved
it. Was
them,
controversial, but as a guy who played baseball, that is 1,000% the right call, and that was the right play by Dean in center field.
I don't know if you guys saw also, I think this was done by a Toronto channel in Canada, where they were reviewing the actual wall and just seeing how close that padding in center, was it left center field, whatever, how close it is to the ground. I mean, it's so hard to get your finger alone in there, let alone a baseball. That to me, that itself right there was just a miracle. To get that ball specifically lodged. It's like when you throw a basketball and it gets stuck at that right specific moment.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, like right in the corner.
Yeah, right in the corner.
The tallest guy jump up and knock it out.
Then you grab your shoe and you're just throwing at it, right? Yeah. But yes, to Jonathan's point, insane maneuver and insane IQ play by Justin Dean. I think that really completely changed it and allowed for a Game 7 to happen.
Well, exactly.
Then we had Kike with a smart play to throw it to Miggy at second base and get that final out.
All of it.
I mean, incredible.
And I mean,
incredible.
And you talk about miracles, right? That last hit of the World Series, a broken bat. I mean, come on. That was shocking.
And I saw a statistic that said that last out of the World Series had the greatest change in win probability for a singular out in baseball history, according to MLB Savant and all these references. So that's insane. Can honestly go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest singular out and end to a baseball game of all time. I think that last out changed the win probability. I want to say it was 54%, and no singular play has ever changed the win probability like that, at least on defense, to get now. So that was phenomenal. And again, it was just, the way I saw it was, I think the Dodgers won this game and won the series, especially Game 6 and 7, because they outclassed and they outmanaged and they just outperformed the Blue Jays. I mean, I was at Game 5, so I was there in person just as a baseball fan taking it all in, and the Dodgers looked defeated. I mean, Trey Savage absolutely mowed him down, 12 strikeouts in 7 innings. Dodgers struck out 15 times that entire game. Everybody leaving the stadium, like, morale is low. Some Dodger fans are, Dodgers in 7, and I'm like, those are the delusional ones, right? If anybody just watched this game, you would understand that the Dodgers look defeated. They look out of sorts. And the way that they were able to come back in Game 6 and 7 and do what they did, and it all started with, and this is why I love baseball, the unsung hero, Miggy Rojas. Who would have ever predicted that? And obviously he didn't win MVP, but if Miggy Rojas didn't do what he did in Game 6, right, getting that pick to get that double play to end the game, and then in Game 7, hitting that home run, right? But not only that, he makes the game-saving play in the bottom of the 9th, right? And obviously, like, you could say what you want about Connor Falefa not having that big of a lead. I've seen things saying that if he just ran through home plate, it would have been quicker than if he slid. You can make up, it's all just he said, she said, but the way that Miggy Rojas was able to make that play, all of his momentum, leaning backwards and throw a strike to Will Smith. Again, that is stuff that you can't be coached. And I think that the way in which Dave Roberts had confidence in his players is the reason why they won this game. Because the Blue Jays went all out to win Game 7 in 9 innings. And I think that was because Dan Schneider doesn't have that much confidence in his players. Dave Roberts had the utmost confidence in every single man on that Dodgers roster in the World Series, and that is why they won.
You talk a lot about the different key moments, right? The players that had to be subbed in. I mean, we haven't even talked about Andy Pages and him coming in for Tommy Edman. What a critical move that was, because, I mean, we know Tommy Edman and his legs aren't just not as fast enough as Pages was. Yeah. He had to trample over, Kike Hernandez to make that play. As hard as that was, but I mean, that was incredible because I think everybody held their breath when that ball went up.
I thought watching it live, I was like, it's over. Yeah. In my head, I was like,
that ball falls on the ground.
And just the way that Ernie Clement was playing this postseason. I mean, 30 postseason hits is an all-time record in a singular postseason. And he didn't even play in a wild card round. Like, to put that into perspective, he had over 400 the entire postseason. He was playing out of his mind. And if you're the Blue Jays, that's the right guy that you want up in that situation. It's either him or Vladdy, right? But at that point, it's apples and oranges with the way in which they were playing. So, I mean, as just like watching that too, and it goes back to Game 6, they put in Justin Dean. He makes that controversial play where he throws his hands up. Game 7, right? You put in Andy Pages in that center field. He makes this catch, right? If you watch the replay, Kike Hernandez, as he goes down, literally thinks that the ball drops and that he just lost the World Series. Yeah. Like, he wasn't hurt. Like, everybody's initial reaction was, oh my God, is Kike okay? Nah, he was totally fine. He was just head on the floor because he thought he missed the ball. And you look at
Pages too. Pages just kind of walks away from him for a bit. So I all the right minds to think that Kike, probably threw the World Series. I'm with you. I remember seeing that play, and my friends and I were talking about it after. I'm like, I really don't think there's any way that Kike would have caught that ball, especially given the angle that he was doing it. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to catch a baseball, with over your back against it. Over the shoulder.
And where he's playing too, Ernie Clement also in that game broke the record for most singles in a postseason, right? So he's naturally going to be playing a little shallower because Ernie Clement's been ripping the ball right in the between left field and right field, but in the gaps, right? He's not hitting that for that much for power. He's not expecting a guy like Ernie Clement to hit it over his head, and he did just that, right? Yeah. And that's why, I mean, again, in baseball, you have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I watched 8 hours of football yesterday, and I was never as animated as I was in those 4 plays in the last Game 7. Yeah. Like, and my buddy told me, he was like, I thought you enjoyed football more, like watching football more than baseball. I was like, no, I don't. Like, I thoroughly enjoy watching baseball more because you can just see how animated, how excited I get watching these plays because, again, you can't picture it. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen. As soon as the ball's hit and it pans to the outfielder, you're like, oh, damn, is this going to go out or is he going to make a grab? And all of a sudden, something that you don't expect happens, right? Pages comes out of nowhere. Like, I thought Kike, I was like, oh my God, is he going to make a Willie Mays type catch? No, Pages comes out of nowhere, makes the play. And again, it's all storybook. Like, I think baseball, I mean, I'm going to be biased because I played it all growing up, and it's the sport that I consume the most and watch the most. But to me, playoff baseball is without a doubt the best sport to watch in terms of like playoff, regular season, whatever. Say what you want about regular season baseball, it can be boring, but after these guys play baseball 162 games in the season, right? They've been playing baseball since the beginning of February is when pitchers and catchers report. This is damn near 10, 11 months. And these guys care so much. They care, in my opinion, more than any other sport. And you see it on the field in Game 7. I mean, all these guys on the Blue Jays side, Ernie Clement, Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, even on a contract year, even though he's likely going to opt into free agency, he's still devastated. He was in tears. He was brought to tears in the locker room. So I think that's why I love baseball. You could tell how much heart and how much integrity is in it. And even a guy like Dave Roberts managing. When Miggy Rojas hit that home run, like that was
guy was folding his cap,
he was
not
in his head. He's like, oh, there's no way because you can't script that. You
No.
just can't. And that's why the game of baseball is amazing.
It's crazy because you think it's going to be Shohei Ohtani, your star player on your roster, right? I remember I was telling my friends, I was like, please don't let this end on a Shohei strikeout. Like I really thought that's how it was going to end.
Yeah, because he was up third in the top of the ninth.
Yeah, and you never think that somebody like Miggy Rojas is going to come in. I mean, I think it was Mookie who said it in the post game interview with A-Rod and Derek Jeter. He even said, he's like, with all due respect to Miggy, he's like, you don't expect Miggy Rojas to come out and get that save for you.
No, it was the only home run he hit off a righty all season.
Yeah.
The only home run off a righty all season.
Wow.
And the craziest part was Dave Roberts in that same post-game interview show after Game 7 went on air and said that Miggy Rojas' wife was telling him, you're going to hit a home run in the World Series. Yep. And Miggy Rojas was like, I'm not even playing. Like, honey, I'm not playing the first 5 games. And then he gets the start in Game 6. And again, why does he start? And in my head, it's all because Dave Roberts trusts him. He has that confidence in him. And like I said, I think the way that the Blue Jays handled that Game 7, in their mind, they played to their strengths and they tried to play by the analytics. But as a baseball fan, I think they played that game completely wrong because they sold and did everything they can to win that game in 9 innings. I mean, they put in Trey Savage into pitch coming out of the bullpen. They had Hoffman coming in the 8th inning, right? Already pushing it a little bit. They pulled Louis Varland earlier in the game too, right? Like those were their best guys all season. And not only that, then come the 8th and 9th inning, they take out Bo Bichette and Nathan Lukes for defensive replacements. And that comes back to bite them in extra innings. Like I said, when the Dodgers started to play chess and add their defensive replacements, we saw the dividends, right? They put in Justin Dean in Game 6. Boom, they win that game. Whether or not it was because of that, right? You say what you want, but that him putting in Justin Dean as a defensive replacement was a big time move. Same thing with Pages in the Game 7. I mean, I think if any other center fielders out there, they're probably not going to make that grab. So it's in my head. I don't know if the better team won, and I think like this was controversial because some Blue Jays guy, like a reporter for the entire season, I thought it was a little arrogant because I'm like, you're not on a team playing with them, but he literally said the better team didn't win this World Series. I disagree with that. I think the better coach team, the team that had more trust by their overall manager, and the team that had more trust in themselves and as teammates and as players, I think that's the team that won, and that was the Dodgers this year.
And I think it talks back to their playoff experience. One thing that you highlighted, right? They've been in this position before. Like you said, Dave Roberts trusting his guys and to make those key changes in the right moments. That ultimately led to them winning. Really quick, Yoshinobu Yamamoto as MVP. What are your guys' thoughts? Deserving, not deserving? Should it have been somebody
1,000%
else?
deserved.
Oh yeah,
1,000% deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, the way in which he handled himself, right? Going into Game 2, complete game, right?
Complete game.
Coming into Game 6, now he's got all the weight on his shoulders because this is a win or go home game.
Yeah.
What does he do? He shoves. And then coming to Game 7, Dave Roberts is like, "Are you good to go?" And he lies and says, "Yeah, I'm good to go."
Even in Game 3, when it was 18th inning, and
Willing to come into the game.
the guy
after
literally
pitching
told
a-
Roberts, "I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You need me? I'm ready." With his little book and everything. Yeah, he was ready to go.
And just the way in which he has this confidence when he goes on the mound. I mean, Shohei said after the game and like these I love these post-game interviews. Like I'm talking to the players. I think it's great to kind of get into their mind and hear what they were thinking, like literally playing this game. But Shohei went on and said Yamamoto's the number 1 pitcher in the planet in his mind right now. And I don't disagree with the way in which he handled all this pressure, going in and just, backs against the wall every single time he went. His last 9 innings that he pitched, the 6 innings in Game 6 and the 3 innings in Game 7, the last 9 innings, every single pitch he has against the wall because the Dodgers have no room for error. I mean, they needed Yamamoto to go deep in Game 6 because their bullpen was kind of struggling in Games 4 and 5, which is when they lost at Dodger Stadium. So I thought that was 100%, 1,000% deserved. I mean, Ohtani, kudos to him doing what he did to pitch Game 7 on a short rest is great. But in terms of who set the tone for the Dodgers and who really, really put them past everything, got them out of every single trouble that they had, it was Yamamoto.
Yeah, it was very, very cool to see a pitcher win MVP in the World Series.
Yeah,
dude.
and I'm glad that
amazing.
they gave it to the right guy and everything. But I mean, for me, my biggest takeaway from this World Series is Dave Roberts. I think I was very skeptical. I mean, like on air with Kim beforehand, I was so skeptical about the Dodgers. I kept saying it's only a matter of time before somebody cracks this Dodgers bullpen, because it was clear that was their kryptonite in the regular season.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a bottom half team ERA in the bullpen, and they were able to do what they did in October because Dave Roberts pushed all the right buttons. He went with the guys that he trusted, and in October their bullpen ERA was, I think, less than 3.5, which was
not to
a
mention
full
they didn't
point
even have
better in
Alex
the regular
Vesia
season.
either on the roster.
Exactly. Because he had family issues, and that was also really cool. I liked how all the players, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but
the
they all wrote
51?
51 for Vesia, and the Blue Jays players actually caught on and did the same for Game 6 and 7, which again shows you that baseball is way more than just a game, right? And obviously, you had your benches clearing incident in Game 7, which I thought was a little bit rambunctious. I was like, these guys just have too much energy, too much adrenaline. There's like a photo of Trey Savage running out from the bullpen with just all smiles because it's his first ever benches cleering moment, and it's happening in Game 7 of a World Series. I mean, that's awesome. But
really quick before we change topics into the parade, there was the play where Miggy throws it to home to Will Smith. There's a lot of controversy whether or not obviously it's clear his foot lifted up a little bit. That spikes on his cleats. What do you got to say about that?
I thought he was out.
Yeah.
And there are people saying like you're not going to decide a World Series game on a video replay, which I just disagree with, because if that was if it was very clearly that he was safe, like they're gonna overturn that 1,000%. I mean, you can go on X and Twitter and somebody outlines like where like the rest of the plate is. It's pretty clear that when Will Smith gets his foot back on the plate, and that's if you don't even count when he first had it on the plate. I mean, it's literally like a millisecond right after he catches it is when his foot comes off. I thought he was still on to begin with, and even after he puts his foot back down, he's still out. I mean, if there's somebody you want to blame for that, it's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at third base. But I don't even think he should be put any blame on it for it, because what happened in the previous game in Game 6, Addison Barger got backpicked on a double play because there's a line drive hit to the outfield, and Barger got too high of a secondary lead. So in that instance, I think it was pretty clear that the Blue Jays didn't want to do any more mental mistakes, right? They lost Game 6 because of it, and they didn't want to do the same in Game 7. So in my head, I think everything played out the way that it should have. And again, that's a play that Miggy Rojas has to make, and that's a tough play. Ranging backwards, all your momentum's going backwards, and in order to throw a strike, right, the ball tails every time you throw it, so you have to tuck it in a little bit more to the left side. And the way that he was able to do that, I mean, phenomenal. And again, that's all because Dave Roberts trusted him in the most highest leverage of situations in Game 6 and 7, coming up big. So it's baseball. I mean, you pay all the money. You could pay all this money for Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, but who are the heroes of this World Series? It was Yamamoto, which yes, he does have a fairly large contract. We get it. But it was Miggy Rojas. It was guys like Kike Hernandez too, and Will Klein. Will Klein in Game 3.
Yes.
So I mean, there's all this talk about whether or not there's going to be a lockout in 2028 after the 2027 season, or in 2026 for the 2027 season. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't want there to be a lockout. I'm very against that. I think that's so bad for the game of baseball, for the brand and everything. But in terms of this World Series, what this had on that impact, I think this shows that it's not, you can't pay to win, because it doesn't matter, because the big guys, even in big games, are not the ones who's coming through. It's the guys that just have that experience, just, I guess, have that internal dog in them. Like no other way to put it. So I think, I feel very strongly about this, but I think there should be a salary floor installed, no salary cap. But I just want there to be baseball played in a year. And I saw a lot of reports online, like Jeff Passing wrote an article, and a lot of baseball experts were talking about the importance of this World Series, because you got big market LA versus smaller market in Toronto. And again, with all this talk about the lockout going on, people were like, if the Dodgers win this handily and it's not a good series, it's very clear that people are going to be against, spending all this money, and they're going to need to make changes. The Blue Jays and Dodgers just had one of, if not the greatest World Series of all times.
I would go.
That was absolute cinema. And if I'm watching that, and if I'm an owner, I think nothing needs to change right now. If anything, maybe you got to establish a salary floor so people and owners don't get greedy and don't, pocket money. They have to pay players. I love that idea. But other than that, I mean, this World Series like saved baseball in my mind.
Yeah. No. I completely agree. It's funny because before this, I used to think the best, in my opinion, the best World Series was Cubs Indians.
Oh, in 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Wow.
That was one of my favorites to see.
Yeah.
But that's also because of the historical, background that
with
comes with
the
that.
the two longest tenured
The longest,
teams
yeah.
without
But
winning a World
this
Series.
hands down probably one of the best World Series and one of the best Game 7s ever.
I mean, I think this is the type of game that's going to go down where we look back on it in 20, 25, 30 years or whatever, and you're going to remember where you were when you saw
100%.
the Dodgers win this game and go
100%.
back to back. And more importantly, go back to back for the first time in a quarter decade. Yeah. First time since the 98 to 2000 Yankees. So, I mean, I want to pose one last question because Kike Hernandez did mention this during the parade today, and then this will segue into the parade. But Kike had a very hilarious moment with the crowd, and he mentioned at the very end, I'm going to skip the first part because he curses a lot. So I'm going to skip all that. You guys should definitely watch it. But at the very end, he says, Dodgers are a dynasty. This is 3 championships in 6 years now.
Yeah.
Would we consider this Dodgers team a dynasty?
I would say, yeah. Now, a lot of people have skepticism, especially on that 2020 season because of the bubble and, it being, the COVID year and everything. But it's like you said, we have these great players now that we've signed from Japan, Roki, Yoshi, Otani, and they're only into year 2 of their contracts. We got them for a while, and I don't know how much longer Betts and Freeman are going to be here, but those are great guys that you can use to your benefit to teach these younger guys.
Absolutely.
What Dodger baseball is all about. But I think more than anything, yeah, this is the year. This is what Alabama football was in college football. These are the pivotal 10 years of dynasty or whatever long it may be. I think this has just cemented the Dodgers to what the Yankees are. They, I mean, obviously you could say a lot about the Yankees and all that, but this is the Dodgers' time in my opinion.
You think it's the start of I think it could be the start. I wouldn't call it a dynasty just yet. I mean, I feel like, yes, obviously that's impressive to go 3 in 6 years, but I don't know. I think you get another big one in the next few years, which they should. I mean, if you look at the roster, 3-peat is crazy. I don't know about 3-peat, but
I love how Dave Roberts had to mention that he talked to Pat Riley with the Miami Heat about coining the 3-peat term and saying it today. But
it's true. Now we're gonna get charged.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, I tend to agree with you, Jonathan. I think it might be a little bit premature to say that this is a dynasty.
Yeah.
I think that looking back in 3 or 4 years, we will definitely be calling this a dynasty because, like you said, the Dodgers are just at the start right now. They're just starting to prove to everybody what they're capable of with Otani going into his 3rd year, Yamamoto going into his 3rd year of his contract, Sasaki going into just his 2nd year, right? They've tapped into that international market, and they're not planning on stopping anytime soon, I think. So for me, I think this is the start. I wouldn't necessarily say calling it a dynasty yet.
Because that's final.
It's a delusion.
You know what I mean?
But in terms of, I think the last dynasty we really saw in baseball was the early 2010s Giants. Was the Giants team that won in 2010, 2012, 2014. That is probably the last dynasty.
Giants mentioned.
And then before that, the next one is probably the late 90s, early 2000 Yankees. Yeah. So I think in terms of, again, they have the star players. They now have a star manager in Dave Roberts. And like I said, I think that was my biggest takeaway from this World Series is I have a ton of respect for the way in which Dave Roberts manages baseball games. Now, I think he's really good at what he does. And it took him some time. And I think he, better than anybody else, learned from his mistakes and learned what not to do and learned, again, that you just have to trust your players. Screw the analytics in baseball, especially when it comes postseason. Go with the guys that got you there. Trust your guys, trust your guts, and don't think twice about it. And that's what happened.
He's definitely getting a statue outside Dodger Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not already in production.
It's a matter of time before we start seeing a Dave Roberts mural all over LA. Let's pivot on to what's the parade that happened today. It's a championship parade. I was unfortunate to go. I had a doctor's appointment that I had to take care of, so unfortunately I wasn't able to go. I went last year, and last year was just jam packed. Right. That's also because in 2020 there was no parade. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
This year, consecutive one. Logan, you went to this one.
I was there, yes. And
tell me what it was.
I'll say this: the vibes were great in terms of just. Everybody was coming together. Like, you could truly just see, like, a Dodger community, like, there. Like, there's no bad blood. Everybody was, like, blasting music. People were, like, I saw so many Modelo cans and so many, like, Pacifico cans. It was great. And just, like, I don't know if there was as many people as there were last year. I mean, I saw numbers ranging around 200,000 this year. I don't know if there were 200,000 people in downtown LA at 11 a.m. this morning.
It's also a Monday.
It is a Monday. Yes.
It is a Monday.
But in terms of, like, did the Dodgers fans show out? Absolutely. And the energy was there between all the players on the buses. As soon as, like I was there towards, like, the very end, and, like, it was when they made a loop, and every single player that came by was waving towards everybody, getting super excited, like, chugging beer. David Roberts, I've got a sick video of him just hoisting the commissioner's trophy. Yeah. So the vibes were there, and I mean, I liked watching the after recession in Dodger Stadium as well. And I think you should definitely listen to Kike's speech for sure. Ohtani and Yamamoto addressed the Dodgers fans in English, which is pretty cool. And Clayton Kershaw gave his final farewell as well. So there's a lot, again, like that's why, like, as a baseball fan, like I truly just, I do have to appreciate greatness right now with this Dodgers team. And like, I grew up watching Clayton Kershaw, and I'm not saying like I'm by any means a Dodger fan, but I did always appreciate this Dodger team growing up. And now that they're getting better and they're starting to get more scrutiny outside of LA, right? Because people don't like seeing a dynasty. People want to see other teams win. I have to appreciate the fact that a guy like Freddie Freeman gets his 4th ring. A guy like Mookie Betts gets his 4th ring. A guy like Clayton Kershaw gets his 3rd ring. I mean, for the game of baseball, that's phenomenal. That's great. And those guys, I don't think anybody works harder than those guys and worked harder to get to the position that those guys are at now. So in terms of who deserves it, I think they all do. And I think Dave Roberts deserves this third ring as well for himself.
I totally agree, man. Yeah, I mean, you can never go wrong with the vibes in LA.
Yeah,
especially.
And I'll say one last thing, and then we can move on. I want to give a Don Mattingly with the Blue Jays as a bench coach now. You know, former Dodger manager. He made the World Series for the first time in 40 years this year as both a player and coach, but came up just short. In terms of talking about a guy who deserves it, Don Mattingly deserves one too. So hopefully he gets one. And honestly, I did like this Blue Jays team a lot. I love the energy, Ernie Clement, and I think Vladdy is special. He's a special player too.
Oh no, for sure.
So hopefully the Blue Jays can get back there and, you know, overcome and get to the championship and get to the top.
Yeah, I feel bad for Vladdy, you know, especially saying that he wanted to give the ring to his
dad.
Father. Yeah,
I love that. That was great, especially because his dad never got there and wasn't even able to play in a World Series game ever. So, I mean, again, like I have to respect it. Just as a baseball fan, like watching this World Series, I don't think I could have asked for anything else. Yeah. Not even just this World Series, even just this playoffs. I mean, all the storylines going in, the way in which all the games transpired. I mean, seeing the Mariners run was magical. Them getting one win away from a World Series, the first title appearance in franchise history, that was phenomenal to watch. And then, I mean, the World Series, seeing the Blue Jays and Dodgers go toe to toe for 7 games in a row. I mean, definitely, like I said earlier on, and I'll stand by this, the 2 best teams in baseball played this year in the championship, in the World Series. And I think the better team that was better coached and had more, the team that had the most trust in their players, that was the team that won, and that was the Dodgers.
I think another great thing about this is, you know, baseball or non-baseball fans, or people that even follow baseball a little bit, they learn the names of, you know, Alejandro Kirk and Ernie Clement and Bo Bichette, even though Bo Bichette's been there for a minute, you know, but you got to see all these amazing players, especially from the Blue Jays side, come to life and see what they're all about. Louis Varland, I mean, I was fascinated with the way Louis Varland was as a reliever. My respects to Louis Varland. He's a great pitcher.
Yeah, and even just like other guys like Ernie Clement, Andres Gimenez, like a lot of these guys came up and stepped up in big time to get the Blue Jays to where they were. But yeah, going back to what you said in terms of like, I have buddies that, granted, we might be biased because we're in LA and the Dodgers are our team, but I had buddies that had never watched baseball games before that I was watching the World Series games with, and all of them were like, wow, I didn't realize baseball can be this lit. I didn't realize baseball can be this electric and have this much, you know, back and forth in it. And I'm like, you guys are missing out. This is what I've been saying all along. So I definitely think in terms of, again, like baseball brings people together, and I think that this World Series in particular too showed that like baseball is a phenomenal game to watch, and you don't have to watch the regular season, but embracing greatness and watching the World Series and watching the playoff run is truly something special. I mean, I'm genuinely kind of distraught looking forward to the next 4 months not being able to watch baseball. Like, luckily I'll have football to carry me through. But I'm going to be missing the baseball season for sure, and I'm going to be looking forward to a crazy 2026 season.
It's going to be insane. All right. Well, that wraps it up for baseball talk. You know, the baseball season, unfortunately, down to an end now. But like Logan said, we're going to look forward to next year and, you know, if the Dodgers can repeat again, we'll
He's
see.
already calling it.
I'm already calling it. But
Well, I will say the last time there was a repeat, it was a 3-time champ in the Yankees from
Yankees,
98 to 2000.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens. There's a long way to go. There's a long way to go.
But something that's still in season, very much in season, is NFL. And a lot happened over the NFL weekend. First things first, you don't get a lot of hype from kickers often, right? Not a whole lot of kicker news. But one particular kicker in Jacksonville's Cam Little.
Yep.
Jonathan, what did this guy do over the weekend?
Well, I love Cam Little. I gotta say, you watch him in preseason, and he hit in a phenomenal. I don't remember the yardage exactly on his preseason.
I think it was 70.
It was 70. And I saw that, and it's like, dude, this guy's got a leg, right? And it's unfortunate because it doesn't count, right? They don't write it down anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, he righted that wrong. He got a 68-yard field goal to go through in Jacksonville's win, 1-point win, I believe. It was 30-29.
Yeah, because the
Against
Raiders didn't complete the 2-point conversion over.
Yes, but, I mean...
And honestly, that field goal looked like it would have been good from 70.
Oh, yeah. It could have been good from... I don't know how far... I can say 70...
Maybe like 72, probably.
Yeah, 72. Yeah. That's right. I mean, that... Dude, since when can a kicker drill at? And he's young too, right? It's consistent.
Super young.
That to me, I mean, you don't usually think of like a kicker as being like, oh, this is like a super valuable guy going down the road. But like to be this young and be hitting that caliber of a kick, like he's a guy to look out for.
I mean, for reference, to put this into perspective, where he kicked it on the field. He kicked it on the other team's 40-yard line. Or that was where he was standing, right? And then the ball, in order for it to be a 68-yarder, was on the other team's 45-yard line.
Yeah.
So, like, that is that's insane. That's actually just unheard of. Like,
it's
obviously you're gonna get a little bit of a trot to get some distance on it, but dude, the fact that he's starting on the other team's 40-yard line,
that's
kicking it on the other half of the field. And drilling it through.
It's hard enough for a kicker to kick a 50-yarder, but you're talking 68 yards. Justin Tucker had, I believe it was 66 in 2021.
Oh, yeah. He beat the Lions because of it. I was watching that game live. And when I tell you, I don't think I have ever been more mad. I was so pissed because, I mean, we were about to beat the Ravens. That's a great win. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way he's going to break a record, right? Like, nobody's like 68-yard or 66-yarder. Like, that's never been hit before. Nah, he does it. It hits off the bottom and then barely rolls over. But
yeah, I mean, that just...
insane for a kicker, any kicker to do that.
Well, I saw Greg Olson mention this. And I'll pose the question to you, but he's saying that the days in which kickers now being able to kick so far, he said that anytime you're in the red zone now, like when he's growing, because he's a football coach for middle schoolers, anytime they're in the red zone, he's teaching the guys to go for it on 4th down and stuff like that, because he's saying that points now are a little bit less valuable because everybody nowadays can, if you get to the other side of the field, you're going to be in field goal range.
Yeah.
So now touchdowns mean that much more in comparison to field goals. And I mean, Greg Olson now is a commentator, and like if you watch games, he's a huge advocate for if you're in the other team's territory and you have like a 4th and 5 or 6, he says you should go for it. Because if you don't get that, that's fine, because if you go down and you can score a touchdown, that's the equivalent to 2 field goals, and it's a little bit more actually. So I think it's a very interesting question, because I think that nowadays, like, it's going to add a little bit more, like there going to be more Dan Campbell mentalities of going for it and just, saying screw it. Like we got to go all in and just see if we can make this play work. So, I mean, the football's changing a little bit right now.
Yeah, and I mean that'd be exciting to see more 4th down plays, because I feel like that is such a really, like, you have to do a lot of work to get on a 4th down, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not something that you see a lot now. I mean, teams will go for it. I wonder, because you're saying you have to be close. Do you think that's going to echo a little further, and even maybe from your own 50, 40, do you still try to go for it because right, if I kick a field goal, they're going to come back and kick one anyways.
Yeah.
And so if they have a better offense than you do,
I think again it places way more importance on a touchdown and the valuable being able to go all the way and get into the end zone and get those 7 points as opposed to just 3, I think is going to pay dividends. And I mean, this is interesting, and this will be we could pivot this into the next topic, but Chiefs and Bills in the first half, literally in the first, I think, 20 minutes of the game, Bills went for it on fourth down. Chiefs get a stop. Chiefs go down and score. Bills go down, whatever. Chiefs now go for it on fourth down. Bills get a stop, and they go down and score.
Yeah.
So in the first 25 minutes of the game, we saw both the Chiefs and the Bills go for it on fourth down, and neither of them got there. And again, I think that just shows you that in terms of when you see two very good teams competing in football and in any game for that matter, touchdowns are so much more valuable. So you're gonna want to go for it on fourth down. Again, it's gonna entice you to gamble a little bit more and to push those buttons and to see if you can essentially outsmart the other team because of how much more valuable touchdowns are going to be, because anybody can kick a field goal from this point anywhere on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
I love it. It reminds me of, like, you know, the new overtime rule in college football where you just got to do 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
Driving down the field. I mean, you just got to get creative. And I think it's going to allow coaches to be creative in that sense. Come out with new schemes, new plays, and, you know, try to outsmart the other team. Because, yeah, like you said, I mean, kickers now kicking it from the opposite side. Holy smell! I mean, that's incredible.
It's unreal.
And let's pivot to that specific game.
Yeah.
Chiefs still unable to beat the Bills.
Yeah.
What is going on with this Chiefs team this year?
I mean, I think this was just a Chiefs were riding a little hot, and I think the Bills were a little lower than people kind of expected. I mean, this Bills team is good. They're very, in terms of their offense, I think their offense is pretty gosh darn complete. They could use another receiver, and it's going to be interesting, honestly, this week to see what teams really try to bolster themselves at the trade deadline. I mean, we've already seen the Eagles. I think they made 3 trade acquisitions in the past 4 days, and they're on bye this week. So they're like, you know, Howie Roseman's making the moves right now, trying to, you know, look ahead towards the future. And I think we're going to see other teams do something similar. I think the Chiefs are going to need to get somebody else on offense. I mean, I think Rashee Rice is great, but a lot of people are saying they're looking at like a guy like Kamara, a guy like Tony Pollard, especially now because Pacheco is going to be out for the foreseeable future.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I think in terms of this game in particular, I think right now, I think the Bills were playing a little bit better football. And that might be a hot take because a lot of people were so high on the Chiefs going in.
Yeah.
Just because they beat the Lions and they blew the doors off the Commanders, who didn't have Jaden Daniels. I mean, I just think right now, like playing at home with their home crowd, that Bills offense was just rolling. I mean, James Cook rushed for over 100 yards. The first time the Chiefs gave up a 100-yard rusher in over 20 games, and James Cook got there in the third quarter. And, I mean, Josh Allen usually gets it done with his legs, and he didn't even have to this game because of how well they played. So, in my mind, I just think that in terms of where we are right now, and there's still so long of a season, right? We are just getting to the halfway mark right now. But in terms of where they are right now, I think the Bills are in a better spot. And I think it's tougher for the Chiefs right now because, I mean, I think people saw that AFC standings have the Chiefs at 8 right now. So if the playoffs ended today, the Chiefs would not be in the playoffs for the first time since 2015.
Wow.
Crazy to think that.
The Chiefs right now are also in third place, too, because the Broncos are in first, and then the Chargers are in second behind the Chiefs. And the Broncos have two-game lead over the Chiefs. Chargers have 1-game lead, but currently own the tiebreaker because they beat them head-to-head. So, again, I think the Chiefs have a lot of work cut out for them. I think they're definitely by no means a lock to make a deep run in the playoffs. I think this was just a humbling game. And honestly, I think a lot of teams had a very humbling week this week across both sides of the league. I mean, my Lions looked awful against the Vikings. I really was not expecting that. I think the Packers looked atrocious against the Panthers, obviously, as well. So, I mean, there are a ton of teams that I think disappointed, and I think, like, I was watching a post-game interview with Dan Campbell that said that the Lions, like, really needed this. Like, they needed a little bit of a reality check to kind of see where their flaws are and see where they can change. I think it's a similar situation for the Chiefs this past week.
Yeah.
I think they kind of needed to get, you know, I think they needed to play a game in which they didn't have help from the refs, in which they didn't, you know, have everything going for them for the first 50 minutes. I think they just needed a game to get humbled a little bit, and this was the game. And nobody better to do it than Josh Allen, who owns Pat Mahomes in the regular season, 5-1, but 1-4 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, like I said, if you're Mahomes, like I see this game as, again, if the Chiefs go in and play the Bills, like I would not. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'd still feel so confident going into that game. I mean, like I really wouldn't. I would take this game with a grain of salt in my head.
And then the Ravens looking dominant against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
6.
I mean, that Lamar Jackson's return game, of course, and he looked pretty good. I mean, coming off an injury, I think he had, I want to say it was 204 yards.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which, amazing, right? You come off injury. Now, obviously, You're proving that against the Dolphins, right? 2-7.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, a little grain of salt there. But an interesting position for them because they're obviously 3-5, which I feel like there was a lot of talk about them before the season started for their defense and their offense, of course, with Lamar Jackson. So 3-5 is not a position I think people really expected the Ravens to be in. But I'm curious what you guys think for them because I know they're obviously in a weak AFC North, so they're second in that.
Well, yeah, a lot of people actually have them as favorites in the AFC North, although they're still 2 games back. And
yeah, I was going to say, how are you
currently
feeling about
dotting
them?
a 3-6 record. But in my head, I think you said their biggest problem was their defense.
Yeah,
at least to start the season. But in the past 3 games, they've held opponents to 17 points. That's the Rams. They held the Bears to their first game under 20 points, and held the Dolphins to 6. Yeah. I think what the Ravens did was they got a defender, Richard Gilliam, and they changed their defensive scheme a little bit. Changed everything up. They kind of were just like, whatever we're doing right now is not working. I mean, they gave up 44 to the Texans prior, 37 to the Chiefs, 38 to the Lions, and then 17 to the Browns.
Yeah.
And then 41 to the Bills the week prior. So they were giving up more than 30 points a game for 4 of the 5 games that they had played. So they made a new change on defense. They have a new defensive identity. And in my head, I think the Ravens are really scary right now. And if you look at their schedule too, they have an incredibly favorable schedule going forward. And I think this Ravens team, especially now with Lamar getting going, and I want to pivot this actually into another question too. But Lamar played the end of this game, right? And we saw last night in the Sunday Night Football, Jaden Daniels was playing the fourth quarter of a game in which they were down big, right? Lamar Jackson was on the other side of this. They were up big against the Dolphins, but I took note that Lamar Jackson started and ended that game even amidst them being up 28-6, right? Jaden Daniels last night is in the game with 7 minutes left. They're down 38-7, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously gets injured, and that was a gruesome injury. Wishing him the speediest and the safest and the best recovery possible, but Dan Quinn got a lot of slack for having him in the game in that moment. And in my head, especially seeing Lamar play on Thursday night on a short week, right? And then granted, they had the bye the week prior or 2 weeks prior, and he's still starting to get better. But in my head, when you have a competitor like Jaden Daniels, like Lamar Jackson, you can't take a competitor out of their competitive mindset.
No,
for sure.
I think in that moment, Jaden Daniels probably wanted to go out there and play. He's been on the sideline the past 3-4 weeks. He's been itching to get back out there, even in a blowout, even in a game where his team doesn't play well. He wants to get those reps in. And obviously, yes, it ended up in fire, and there was a dumpster fire, and obviously he got hurt, and all the alarms are blaring now. But in my head, I don't think Dan Quinn did anything wrong in that situation. I mean, I'm interested to know what you guys think.
No, I agree. I think by taking him out, you kind of take that flame of some sorts, that offensive flame out, and this team needed that extra push.
But interesting because you say it took the offensive flame out, but you look at that and you go, well, there wasn't one anyway. Like there were.
Well, you could also say now too. It's so much worse.
No, but
with how it is. But no, I mean, you see broadcasters all the time, especially at the end of the games. They talk about blowout games. They're like, you want to get a little bit of momentum going into the next game, right? Like you want to see something go through. So then you're like, all right, now we know it works. Like now we know it's just a couple bad turnovers, a couple bad plays here and there, a couple bad penalties or whatever. Those are easy fixes. And I mean, again, in my head, when you have a competitor like Jaden Daniels, and I mean, we saw him play through injury last season. He's been trying to play through injury this season, but just hasn't been able to be good enough to go. I mean, in the pregame interview, Melissa Starks interviewed him and said, how do you feel? And Jaden said, I'm ready to go. I'm 100%. Nothing's holding me back. Yeah. So, especially after hearing him say that, like these sources say that, again, in my mind, even though, yes, you're down by 5 scores in the fourth quarter, Jaden's not going to want to go out. He's not. And he's going to do what he can to, make a play happen. And that's what he did. And unfortunately, it like I said, ended up in flames.
It backfired.
And it backfired.
Yeah.
But obviously, you can't, as a coach, too, you can't predict that.
No.
So, in my head, Dan Quinn has zero fault between what happened. And again, I don't blame him for putting Jaden Daniels out there. And in my head, too, Jaden Daniels 1,000% probably asked to be
out. No, 100%.
And he wanted to be out there to get those reps in, to see one go through, to end off that game on a high note going into the next week. But it's a shame in which the way it ended.
Yeah,
but.
it's a real shame, and hope for Daniel's speedy recovery. Now, real quick before we go, we got to talk about our local team in USC football, who went into Lincoln, Nebraska, and had a very, very tough blackout night. Right? Yeah, the whole black field on the for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. By the way, I want to shout out the social media team for USC football.
Oh, I did see the graphic afterwards.
Brilliant to put the popped black balloon.
Yeah.
And it just said, "Oh shucks." But whoever came up with that, you deserve a raise or something. At least. But this offense for USC got basically they ran into a wall. You know, the air attack wasn't there. I see Jacoby Lane only catching for two catches for 22 yards. Jaden Mayava not throwing a single touchdown, which we're really not used to seeing.
Horrible.
Throwing an interception. Makai Lemon 2 catches for 18 yards.
All these receivers only limited to 2 catches each, with the exception of Jaden Richardson. King Miller coming up on top and carrying,
of course,
basically poor guy, his back hurts, carrying almost for 130 yards and a touchdown. But what happened here, guys? I mean, is this what USC needed in a sense to wake up? And we know they have Northwestern next on Friday night.
Yeah, so this is a really scary game if you're a USC fan, because you're saying, oh well, we maybe wake up. Well, that was what Notre Dame was.
Yeah, that's my mind. Notre Dame the wake up call?
You should
be
get a
bye week after?
Yeah. Like, you should be awake, and it's Nebraska. They were ranked, I think, one time this season. They were 25, and then they lost.
Yeah. And not to mention, they did not have Dylan Raiola.
For the entire second half.
And you just barely beat them. Your offense, throwing, is terrible. Passing offense, which is a big, strong point for USC in the last few years.
That's Lincoln Riley's identity too.
He's the Heisman QB guy. That's who you think. So against Nebraska, that is bad, right? Because now, USC, luckily for them, is 20, right? This 20 seed or in the AP poll, which they still have a chance for playoffs. Which
we have to win out.
They have to win out.
Absolutely.
And after seeing this, I'm scared for Notre Dame. I'm sorry.
Oregon.
No. Or not Notre Dame. Excuse me. Northwestern.
You're scared of Northwestern?
I'm scared of Northwestern. Northwestern, by the way, upset. Was it Penn? I want to say it was Penn State.
Penn State.
I never would have thought. I mean, and you can look back. I never considered Northwestern a game where you have to be worried. But after this, you're a little worried, and it's family weekend. And I'm sorry, as a USC with the history of some really bad games to kind of end seasons where they were somewhat competitive, a family weekend setup against a team that they should really beat after a hard Nebraska game. It's another statement game for USC, right?
Yeah.
They have to go out there and they have to kill them, because if you even play close, you're going to get steamrolled. Because there's not going to be any fear factor that USC will hold no fear factor going up against, obviously, Oregon. They're going to laugh at you. It's not even, they're going to kill you because they're not scared of you at all, and they're just going to play their game, and it's going to be an absolute blowout. So USC needs to do something, and needed to do it this week, and has to do it again the next week, and the week after that. They have to win out. But they got to at least win this one by a lot.
I think so too, because if it looks even close, I mean, you're not going to be favored in your next encounters, because you have Iowa, Oregon, which by the way is on the road, and you have UCLA.
A team that's I don't want to say that they're
God, that's the roll of a dice right there.
Yes, I mean, considering that it's a whole new team. First half of the season versus second half of the season. So
I mean, luckily for that, UCLA though, I feel like. From an emotional standpoint for USC, every time they play UCLA, they play their best game.
It means a little bit more to
So I feel like that game,
especially if that comes off a loss at Eugene too.
Well, yeah, I mean, that worries me. If USC manages to beat Oregon, which right now seems like an impossible job, if they do that, I think they have no problem taking UCLA.
Yeah,
it's just going to be an absolute steamroll block, because they know that means not only beat your rivals, but you go to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But they have to beat Oregon. So I feel like they're either going to end the season with 2 wins or 2 losses, back to back. They're not going to go split. If they lose against Oregon, maybe. But I feel like your team's so deflated, you're out of playoffs. and it's like, it's just been a bad season at that rate.
Yeah.
But if you win against Oregon, I think you win UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me the biggest, I think you mentioned it. Like, this shouldn't have to be a wake up call because I think Notre Dame should have been that wake up call. And coming off a big game, a game that USC, in my head, could have won in South Bend. I think that was a game that USC could have.
They should have.
Maybe I argue they should have.
No, I argue they should have. When you watch that game back.
But, I mean, Notre Dame definitely made some mistakes in that game.
That's what I'm saying.
That could have been costly, and USC did not really take advantage of them.
No.
And the fact that we didn't convert on 2 4th and shorts does not help in our favor.
Oh, no, 100%.
But, coming off that game, getting a bye week, and now we get to go on the road again, and we get to show out in Nebraska with their blackout game, all this stuff, and we put up 21 points. That's, in my head, right, Nebraska was averaging 28 points a game against, right? And USC only scored 3 touchdowns against them. In my head, this upcoming game against Northwestern is huge because it's kind of, again, you have to represent and you have to show and prove to everybody that you are this offensive juggernaut that you claim to be. Yeah. And I think, especially with the following week, we're playing Iowa at home, but Iowa's always been a great defensive team, right? Yeah. And then we're going to have to go into Oregon and most likely win a shootout, right? So in my head, in order for us to even get ready for that Oregon game, because the only way we're going to win at Oregon is if we win like 42-38 or something like that. Yeah. There's no way we're going to win a game that's 21-20. I'm telling you that right now. Oregon Penn State was a close game because that's at Penn State, whiteout. Penn State's known for their defense. USC, no. Oregon will put up a touchdown every single drive just if USC can score the 2-point conversion at the end of the game or not. But in my head, in order for us to get to that speed, it starts this week with Northwestern. Yeah. And you carry that momentum over into Iowa, and then you carry that into Oregon and at Eugene, and you kind of play with nothing to lose in that game. Yeah. Because in my mind, if you start thinking ahead and you start getting that, oh my God, this is a game that we must win, you're not going to win that game. You have to go in there free flow. And in my head, Lincoln Riley, this game was really scary for me. Yeah. Watching it as a USC fan, I'm concerned about our play calling going forward. I'm concerned about our offense, but not just that, but again, it has to do with play calling. It has to do with where we are and what we like to do on third down, doing all these draw runs and not even throwing the ball or letting my Alba try to run and scramble with it. Again, all these things are not going to fly against a good defense like Iowa or a great team altogether like Oregon. Yeah, no. So in my head, this is a huge statement week, which is crazy. 3 weeks in a row is, I guess, a statement week for USC. But at this point, what do you expect with Lincoln Riley? Because in my head, you can never know what to expect with him.
To me, that Iowa game is going to be crucial. It's going to be crucial to see how ready we are to go into Eugene and play Oregon. Iowa, by the way, they kept Indiana to a 5-point difference, so 20-15. They also outperformed Wisconsin 37-0. Their last game against Minnesota 41-3. And Penn State, they beat them out by a point. Yeah. Granted, Penn State is Penn State right now, going through their own hiccups. But we shouldn't underestimate this Iowa team. Like Logan said, this team defensively is known to put up some good numbers. And if you're USC, the play calling has to be great.
Especially seeing how dominant Indiana's been too. Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to see some things that say once the college football playoff comes out next week. Is it next week or in 2 weeks? The first official rankings? It should
be next week, I think.
I think it is next week. But when the first college football playoff rankings officially come out, a lot of people are talking about Indiana being that number 1 overall seed over Ohio State just because of strength of schedule and just because of how dominant, pure dominant they have been. Granted, Ohio State has been dominant in the games that they're playing, but they're not playing the likes of, they're in the same division, which is kind of crazy, but Indiana has had to play tougher opponents, at least to start the season. So seeing that Iowa only lost to them by 5 that's telling that this Iowa team is going to be a scrappy team. Yeah. I mean, they historically always are. They're a team that's known for their defense. They'll win games 13-10 or
they'll put big upsets against top-ranked teams.
They always play up to their competition, is what I see with Iowa too. So in my head, especially with USC, maybe looking ahead towards Oregon too, because they play Oregon the following week. I mean, that might be a letdown spot for USC. I sure as hell hope not, but who knows? And like I said, I'll feel so much more confident with this game upcoming on Friday night. It is kind of nice that they have a Friday game. You get that extra day. Obviously, it's not a bye or anything. It's not like an extra couple. But USC is going to take that coming off of a game on the road at Nebraska and then a game against Northwestern.
Yeah. So, and it'll be interesting to see how Iowa play, because Iowa's playing Oregon this weekend.
This week.
So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic goes, because if, obviously if Oregon blows Iowa out of the water, which I don't think they will, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but it could happen.
It could happen, but it's going to give you kind of a taste, because those are the two teams USC has to look at going forward. So they even have a unique advantage to see how those two match up,
especially this week. Yeah, and now they're rolling right in. You could throw the tape from the Iowa-Oregon game and see exactly what they're running, schemes, all that kind of stuff. It could work out, and hypothetically, it could work out in USC's favor.
Hypothetically, in
a perfect world.
In a perfect world.
Well, that does it for this amazing Monday show. Jonathan, Logan, thank you so much for being a part of this. What a great weekend it's been. Hey, you know what? My Longhorns got a big win against Vandy. Well, not big. We
Longhorn.
You almost 1 point lead to Diego Pop.
You were 1 minute off a show, by the way, of not mentioning Longhorns.
We were one onside kick away from being the laughing stock.
That would have. I was watching that game live, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, that should not have.
It shouldn't have gotten that close in the first place.
No. I would have preferred 38 to 14 than whatever it was, 31 to 28, whatever.
I mean, I will say we're kind of blessed as sports fans right now. I mean, between the college football playoff, between the NFL, there's no team that's dominant. I have no idea.
Yeah.
On any given week, I mean, we saw it with baseball this past week. I mean, the sports world just keeps getting better and better. And
for all we know, Indiana might win the national championship this year.
Exactly, and we're going to be here all along the way the entire time.
That's right.
But this has been the Talk of Troy. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Logan, Cristian, and Jonathan signing off. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating.